So hello everyone, it's me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Saadiq, and it is the Demetra K Show, the podcast where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always do better. And so I'd like to say at the top of the hour that this is not live like Memorex. It is recorded as a podcast that Donovan and I do, and we bounce, opinions and arguments or whatever off of each other about certain topics. And so today we are going to start off talking about that of the late Kevin Samuels and why, or I guess the cause of his death, and everything kind of related to that. And so we're also going to talk about Black women being evicted, I guess more than anyone else in the country. And we're going to show you a video about that as well. So we got two topics today. So I'll also at the top of the hour, I'd like to say that we do have a Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. And you can become a member to help support the channel, because everything that you do and you donate to the channel does help this channel keep going and all that other stuff, because there is some cost behind it. But at the very least, like the video because that helps as well. So, and if you ain't already, subscribe. So Donovan, what say you before we get started?
All right, you guys, it is a Tuesday. When it's Tuesday, you got the Demetra K podcast. Welcome to the podcast. If you're sitting in traffic right now, do us a favor. Even though it might be illegal, pull out your cell phones, hit that like, share, subscribe, and also share this on your platform when you get a chance. Very interesting topics we're having today. Very, very serious issues. Rest in peace, that great, great GOAT, Kevin Samuels. We'll be talking a little bit about what has happened to him and what ascribed to his death. But the story that I'm going to lead with, as well as Demetra's going to get into, is the eviction rate and the removal of families across the nation and how it affects us as a Black people. Very, very important issue. Not a lot of people are paying attention to it, but it is happening under a very, very quiet guise. And we're going to get in and talk about that a little bit. But do us a favor, please share, like, and subscribe, and at least put it on your platform so these messages can get out. Let's get into it.
Yes, indeed. So as you guys, I'm sure you know by now that on May 5th of this year, Kevin Samuels, who some people are labeling as a YouTube sensation, if you will, or internet influencer, but he called himself an image consultant. He unfortunately died on that very day with a woman that a lot of people don't know too much about. There's a lot of stories going on about her I won't get into because I don't have any particulars about her. But anyway, a lot of speculation went forth as to why he died. Oh, maybe he was doing drugs and this, that, and the other. But the coroners just revealed that it was actually hypertension. And it sounded like, because hypertension, which is high blood pressure, that is usually the underlying issue. And so it sounds like it caused him to have a heart attack. So basically he had high blood pressure, and it was discovered that he was on the medication atenolol. I think that's how you say it. Blood pressure medication. Usually when people are on blood pressure medication, it is to regulate your high blood pressure, right? Normal blood pressure is 120. The top number is 120. The bottom is is 80. And then 130 to 139 is, stage 1, and then 140 and up is stage 2. And then, of course, the bottom numbers correspond with that. So it sounds like he suffered from that of hypertension, for lack of better words. Now, we also saw Kevin Samuels drink a lot of Red Bull.
A lot of Red Bull.
Red Bull is an energy drink, and energy drinks usually have a lot of caffeine and taurine and a whole bunch of other stuff to get you hopped up if you're tired, right? Because the ordinary way to replenish your energy is to get some sleep. But it doesn't sound like Kevin Samuels slept a lot. There's a lot of stories going forth that he sometimes only slept 2 to 3 hours a day. Because as you guys know, he had a YouTube channel, Instagram, and Patreon, and he traveled a lot. And he did a lot of appearances on other people's shows in addition to him consulting people. So he had a lot going on. And I can understand why he would take Red Bull. Usually when you are a busy person, you need to have the energy, because especially when you come on a platform such as YouTube or Instagram, you got to kind of have a little energy. You can't be like, oh, so hello, how y'all doing? You know what I mean? You have to be ready to, do it, whatever it is. Also, He dealt with a lot of stress, I would imagine. Now, he seemed cool as a cucumber a lot, but kind of going back and forth with people. Not that he necessarily went back and forth with people on the show, but that could be a source of stress as well. And so it is also said that Black people are twice as likely than anyone else to suffer from hypertension. And it is said that that is the case because, Donovan, I'm going to mute your mic a little bit. Yeah. So it says that is the case because Black people, for whatever reason, seem to have salt sensitivity. So we are more sensitive to salt. Some of us who may have had high blood pressure or suffer from high blood pressure know that when you eat things that are salty, you can kind of feel it. It does affect us more. Of course, being Black, especially in America, you have a lifestyle, you have a lot of stress. Maybe you're not doing so well financially opposed to other groups. And let's keep it real. Our diet is not always the greatest. Not saying all Black people, but as a group, you know, we like our Yardbird pimp, you know, dipped off with some grease. And so there's a lot of things that contribute to that. So we want to get into, you know, discussion about health and, you know, about that of Kevin Samuels' untimely passing of hypertension, which is also considered a silent killer because a lot of people don't know that they suffer with hypertension, high blood pressure. And so we want to talk about those things in addition to that of Kevin Samuels. And then at the half an hour mark, we're going to get into Donovan's subject about Black women being the most evicted around the country. So Donovan, what say you?
Yeah, when the report came out about Kevin Samuels, I wasn't really too shocked. I mean, these rumors, he was murdered, you know, that the Black women came for him and stuff like that. I never believed that stuff. But you could kind of tell he was kind of high strung a little bit because, you know, here's the funny thing is, and a lot of people, and Dimitri yourself as well, and you know, doing videos and stuff, it takes a lot of energy and time. And, you know, you're running, you know, to get stuff done on a certain deadline and stuff like that. And as Black people, we don't take care of our health at all. And the thing about Kevin Samuels, for those that might not know, I believe he had a precondition before that. Like he had some kind of cancer. I think it was Hodgkin's disease or something like that, or whatever it was, whatever that thing is. So, you know, when you're diagnosed with something that was so deadly as that, you would think that you would take care of yourself a lot better. And I'm not saying he didn't, but what I'm saying, like you said, you brought up the Red Bull thing and always on the go, right? So he becomes a YouTube sensation and he makes new money, right? Which is great. But we know to keep making that new money, you got to hustle even harder. But see, here's one thing that we got to start doing, especially if you're going to do what Dimitri does and Phil Scott and all these people that do. Because Dimitri, it does take a lot of time to edit. Remember, I showed you how to edit on the phone from that one program, and you do it well now, which is very, very good. But when you start coming into money, that new money, the first thing you should do is take some of that money and take the burden off of yourself by hiring other people to do certain things so that you'll have more time to take care of yourself. And we just, you know, as a people, we are the most unhealthiest of all the groups in the United States. I can't talk about anywhere else. In the United States, we're at the top of the list or the bottom of the list, depending on what list it is. So a good example would be, you know, basic exercise, just walking during the day and just doing certain things like that. Dimitri, yourself, you used to walk up Mount Rubidoux almost every day. You know, just simple little things like that. So, you know, I wasn't too shocked at it. But the fact of the matter is, you know, of hypertension of all things, you know, you would think it would be something else, but hypertension is something that could be monitored and controlled. And unfortunately, it took the goat out. And I don't think us men will ever get over that.
I'm going to pray for y'all. So, yeah, I mean, you know, Kevin Samuels' death was very shocking and devastating, you know. But I will say this. I have suffered with high blood pressure, and I am, you know, battling it as we speak. I've had it forever. Well, I won't say forever, but I've had it for quite a while. When I was smaller, when I was a staunch vegan, running and, you know, working out 2 or 3 times a day. And so some people say that it is genetics. It's, you know, if your parents had it, you'll probably have it. I'm just don't want to accept that just yet. So I too take medication to control my blood pressure. Now, the things that can happen to you with high blood pressure is congestive heart failure, renal failure, which is kidney failure basically, and strokes. And so a lot of people end up with one of those things, or I guess a combination of those things. And so I would say, just going back to Kevin Samuels, he knew that he had high blood pressure because he was on medication for it. And normally when you're on medication for high blood pressure, you kind of know the ins and outs of high blood pressure. You know that you can't do too much of this or too much of that. When I say too much of this or that, definitely caffeine or something like a Red Bull will definitely exacerbate, I probably said that wrong, your high blood pressure, you know, because it pumps you up and it has your heart to beat really fast and all of those type of things. And so you have to be careful of what you ingest into your body, whether it's caffeine, salt, fried foods definitely is a culprit of that. Things to help is, like Donovan said, exercising every day, or at least try exercising every day, drinking water, laying off the caffeine. And then a lot of people really don't talk about lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, yeah, you know, just because you have a lot of money, that doesn't mean that you're not stressed. In fact, people who are chasing a bag all the time, they'll tell you that it's very stressful. And like Donovan said too, if you don't have people working for you or helping you get that bag, you tend to find that you're doing everything on your own. You're stressed out. And a lot of people who are in that situation, they don't know that they have high blood pressure until maybe they go to the doctor or something happened to them, you know, or they had a stroke or something. So I would say too, with Kevin Samuels, he seemed like he was in shape because he talked about going to the gym a lot and he looked, you know, like he was in shape. But I will say this, that's also very deceptive. And when I say deceptive, because a lot of times people look like they're healthy, but they're not healthy on the inside. Now, my stepfather, you know, RIP to him, he was a slender guy as well. But he did not make very good dietary choices. He smoked and, you know, was on the go, entrepreneur and stuff. And he ended up having a major stroke due to hypertension. The stroke had him in the hospital for a couple of weeks and he never did come home from that. Eventually he died. But on the surface, if you look at him, like, wow, he looks like he works out. He's, you know, in shape and that kind of thing. But it was a major stroke that got to him because his blood pressure was not in check. And so there are things that we should be doing, especially as Black people, since we do have a more of a disposition than that of everybody else to have high blood pressure. There's a lot of things that we can do as simple fixes. Experts say you don't need to do them all. Just start with one. You know, if you're eating French fries, okay, you're going to have the French fries, which fries are bad enough. Lay off the salt. Have them, you know, if you go to a drive-thru, you can get them with no salt. They'll do that for you. And so there's things that you can do, but we'll get a little bit more into that. Donovan?
Yeah, you know, the funny thing is with, like, you know, okay, let's say you just made the analogy, I'm going to have it with no salt. But now I'm going to load it up with cheese, Fritos and all that other stuff, and then I'm going to eat it like that. And a lot of people go around that. Have you ever had a friend that you go out and you know, you're ordering food? Let's say it's just fast food, you're at McDonald's. I want a number 2 Super Whopper, whatever it is, you know, a Big Mac, whatever, right? I used to have a friend that you would order like that, and then he or she would say, and a Diet Coke. You ordered all of this bad food, and at the end, you ordered a Diet Coke. Like, that is supposed to be significantly going to change the appearance of your diet. So we all have friends like that do that, and then, you know, they constantly do a problem. But one of the things that I want to bring up, and I'm not bringing this up to castigate anybody, okay? But it's something that we talk about, especially as real Black men in our community. I have noticed there is a trend with you beautiful sisters out there refusing to work out because you just got your hair did. Now, what is more important, getting your hair did or your health? Demetra, that's a question I want to pose to you, because you know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to be judgmental or so. You know how I feel about weave. It is what it is. But should that be a reason for you not to take care of your health?
Well, and I want to address that, but I also want to say too, I've seen some conversation around, you know, from some in the Black woman community saying, there he is, you know, he was telling women, you know, Black women, they're going to die of high cholesterol, this, that, and the other, and they need to work out, and then he dies of hypertension, which I think is kind of silly to, you know, gloat at someone's death. But I will say in regards to working out and your hair, I get my hair done every 3 to 4 weeks because I am a sweater. Now, when I say I'm not like a sweater like you wear, but I sweat a lot. And so, am I having a little glitching going on? Seems like I am from my end. Okay, so yeah, I sweat a lot. And so with that being said, I have to do my hair over, every 3 to 4 weeks because after a while it'll start to smell. So I get the women saying, well, I don't want to, sweat out my hair because Black women wear a lot, you spend a lot of money on our hair, right? So you don't want to ruin it right away. So I get all that, but I would also say this to your point, what's more important, the way you look or the way you feel? Because if you got your insides all jacked up, you got high blood pressure, and whatever the case is going on, diabetes and all that, the hairstyle is insignificant if you're not feeling good, looking good on the inside like you do on the outside. And so I say get a hairstyle that's friendly or a hairstyle that you can, do every once in a while. Like I said, I would love to leave my hair up for, a month or two without having to redo it. But I can't. So I get a hairstyle that I can do often so that I can wash my scalp and so it doesn't smell and stuff. But I am one of those people, I'm going to work out regardless. I don't care what it is. I'm going to work out if I got to sweat through my hair, whatever it is, which is why I don't wear makeup on my face as well, because I don't want that to be an excuse, or I don't want to mess up my makeup and, all that other stuff. So I don't let cosmetics and things like that get in the way of my health.
Right. And another question I have in regards, and these are just observations that I've noticed in my community and some of the friends that are around me, because there is no magic pill, ladies. There is no matrix that you will take to get a certain size or whatever. Yeah, you could go out there and do all the surgeries you want. So ladies, are you telling me it is easier to go get a BBL than to go to the gym, which would benefit your body as a whole, and put in the work versus surgery?
Well, I want to say this too, because I don't want it to make it seem like, because we're trying to divert to the ladies. And this is really a conversation for men and women, Black men and women. So just to be clear, I don't know anything about a BBL. I know what they are, but I personally have not had one, and I will not get one because I'm just one of those people who just kind of feel like, once you get up there in age, yeah, there's things you could do. Like I'd rather just work out, because I've gotten to the point before where I've worked out, got really tight and stuff like that. So I know it can be done. I'm not one to want to go under the knife for cosmetics. And what people don't realize with BBLs is it's not a permanent fix, right? You can still gain weight if you don't change your behaviors. And I'd say your behaviors, I'm talking about mentally, right? So I go get a BBL, and no shade to anybody that has a BBL. I'm not against it. It just don't, not for me. But you go get a BBL and you're foxy and all of that. But then you go out there and you eat, you're at the buffets and you do it, this, that, and the other. You can still gain weight. BBLs are not weight gain resistant, right? And so I've often heard of a lot of people, men and women, because, there's dudes out there with BBLs now, saying that, oh, now I got to go get me another BBL because I didn't gain weight or whatever the case is. And I'm thinking, well, wouldn't it just be easier for you just to maybe hit the track, go to the gym, push away from the table, because that's what I call it, push aways, push away from the table instead of going, because a BBL is a very extensive, risky surgery. I was in the DR with you, Donovan, and, I saw people as we were going, they had the surgery or whatever, and they're in the chair, and they look like they're in a lot of pain. And as me and my daughter are waiting to come back to the States, we saw women sitting in the chair, and they were just in agony. And I'm like, why would you sign up for that? Like, to me, I get it. I'm 51. So I don't look like I did when I was 15. I don't, believe it or not. I don't look that, like when I was running track. But I'm cognizant that gravity is going to win. Now,
Undefeated.
It's undefeated. So there's things I can do to try to, maintain a little bit of youth, like drink water. I personally don't have to wear makeup on my face, just because I guess maybe genetically gifted, and I drink water, and I don't put a lot of stuff on my face. I put oil on my face, whatever oil is cheaper at the store. Right now, I happen to be using peanut oil on my skin because it's cheaper. It smells like peanuts for like 5 minutes, but after that, the smell goes away. But so you have to do things to take care of yourself, like getting surgeries and stuff. That's a quick fix. But how do you have a surgery on your mind to change the behaviors? You know what I mean? So, I mean, especially in our community, I say black don't crack. Yeah, it does. It'll crack. I mean, and not to bring no shade to her, but Kim Burrell, you know, who was up in the church the other day calling people ugly. It's like, sis, you about 48, 49 years old, and you look like you encroaching upon 70 years old. So black,
yeah, she looked like she was in her 60s when I saw the video.
Yeah. Black cracks. So you have to take care of it. I mean, Donovan, you hear it a lot too, how you don't look your age. It's just, you know, and you say all the time, not burning the candle at both ends. And unfortunately, in our community, we do burn the candle at both ends, whatever it's on either end of the candle, whether it's stress, whether it's work, whether it's partying, whether it's smoking, it's drinking and eating bad stuff. And I said too a lot, I like to taste the fried chicken. Fried chicken tastes so good, especially with some hot sauce, but I can't eat it. Not if I want to be here. And I like to listen, I don't want to be here at 70, 80 years old. Like, help me, help. I want to be like, where we going? What we about to do? That's what I want to be.
You know, and again, I'm going to paraphrase what you're saying. We're not like just calling out black women and stuff. We're talking about health. And so now I'm gonna make observation.
We're gonna get to the brothers. Yes, believe that.
Yeah. And I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna come back to the brothers right now. We talk about health, especially as black people, and you know, and it concerns me as well. I was in the hospital last night because I have a crick in my neck and I pulled the ligament. But I immediately, because I live by myself, I immediately went to the ER and had him check it out because, you know, it felt like something was stabbing me in my back, you know. And we've heard the rumors. I'm not a doctor. Could that be a heart attack I'm having? What could be going on? So, brothers, we can't be sitting here talking about these women and that their shapes and they don't work out, whatever. I've seen a whole plethora of you guys at the gym, in the showers with that. When are you guys going to drop that baby? You've been carrying that baby for almost, you know, 8 years. And, you know, we got the nerve to talk about the sisters not working out, whatever. Look at how we're looking as well. And some of you brothers and sisters, but mostly the brothers, what did the sisters say about us? Number one, that when you first walk up to a sister, they either, you know, the old school way was they always complain about, I need a guy that has nice teeth. Nobody wants with your teeth out here. But here's the important thing about dental. If you don't take care of your teeth and your mouth area, that is a direct correlation to your brain, which triggers a lot of problems and a lot of early deaths. In the South, the number 2 cause of death, believe it or not, is dental issues in the South. That kills a lot of people related to their dental mouth area. I know the grills are important, all that other stuff, but you just can't put metal in your mouth and think everything is going to be fine, aluminum foil and all that other stuff. So let me preface back to what I was saying in regards to me, what happened to me last night. I went to the doctor. I go to the doctor at least 4 times a year, regardless, because I'm covered, whatever, you know, I got all this other stuff I got to do. And I got a condition as well. We don't go to the doctor until it's too late. That is one of our biggest problems. Lady, yes, you look good, whatever the deal is. But did you know that your blood pressure is up here? But how would you know if you haven't gone to the doctor in a year or 2 or 3 years? Yeah, you still think you're young and you're healthy and you're strong. Why are some of you guys paying all this insurance on medical and you don't even go to the doctor?
I mean, that's a good question. And you make a good point. People should go to the doctor at least once a year, right? Get your checkup. I'm due for a checkup right now as we speak, mammograms and a wellness check. I like to get all that done because, like you said, we hear people saying, oh, I went when my stomach was hurting really bad and they found out it was cancer or something like that. And so if you get checkups annually, then you can kind of get a jump on those things to make sure you're okay. It's like you go get your car tuned up. You got to get the same thing done for your body. Get your blood work and your urinalysis, all of that, so you can get a clean bill of health. And doctor says, okay, See you next year, unless something, else comes up. So yeah, and as far as men, my brother, who will be on the show tomorrow, he has always said an old black man is becoming rare because black men are unfortunately are dying very early, and it is said that the lifespan of black men are starting to get back to that of slavery because the life expectancy of a slave wasn't that long. Yeah, so it's getting back to that. We're hearing about these young brothers, and I say young, I'm talking about, 60s, 50s, 40s, and a lot of it is preventable diseases because most diseases are things that people die from are curable. They're preventable, right? But when we say things are preventable, we mean things like not eating horrible food. I'm not saying not eat it ever, but those foods aren't meant to be eaten every day. Even as old as I am, I can remember when we didn't have fast foods on every corner. I remember my mama and my grandmama cooking, and then on Sunday we had the pot roast and the greens and all that other stuff. But during the week it was something like maybe spaghetti and a salad. It was always a salad at my grandma's house. I don't care what it was. You was having a salad with it. And so we can prevent those things by not eating horribly every day. Like if you're going to eat bad, like most people who work out and stuff, they'll say, I'll have a cheat day, right? I'm going to have a cheat day or a cheat meal where I just eat whatever I want for that day, and then I get back on it. And so that's how we used to eat back then. We ate, the 5 food groups and all of that. Some people dispute its healthiness, maybe, whatever the case is. But the point that I make is we ate fairly reasonable, but now there's some people, and I know y'all know of some people who will tell you that they eat out in the morning, lunch, and dinner. And then maybe they'll go get a snack or something. This is like their day, right? They don't ever sit home and bust open a bag of salad or something on the stove. It's always eating out. So what happens when you eat out? You're eating a lot of processed food, salt, sugar, and fat. And so that's what it means that it's preventable, because you can prevent it by not driving your ass to the drive-thru and getting that stuff. Go to a grocery store and make your food, because when you make your food, you have more control over it. And before I give it to Donovan, one thing too is when you notice next time you go out to eat and you order your favorite dish, think about how good it tastes. Like, wow, this is so good. And then you think about, well, what could be in here that makes it taste so good? Well, it's a lot of salt. It's a lot of butter. It's
preservatives.
And a whole bunch of other creams and all the things that make it taste yummy, right? And so those things are not healthy for you. So imagine people who eat like that every day.
Man, and just thinking about that, it's kind of scary, because some of the stuff that they use in the ingredients could have a shelf because they put preservatives in it. It could be there for, years, and that gets into your body, and just think what kind of cells it attaches to. And the next thing you know, you're dropping dead. But, to my fellas, I'm going to tell you one thing, and I'm just going to have to say this. I mean, I don't care if the ladies hear it. It doesn't matter. Dimitri might get upset or whatever. Let me tell you guys something that really affects us as brothers. And this is what I've seen. And I've even participated in it. Do you know how stressful it is to keep your story straight when you're stepping out on your old lady, and you got a lady over here and you got a lady over here and a lady over there? How much stress that puts on the body? It's incredible, dude. So even doing that is a detriment to your health, if you want to believe it or not. Because when you go to your old lady and you go to your side chick, you got to perform over there as well as perform over here. And you got to go get this. You got to keep the name straight. You got to do, all of this stuff to keep the story straight. Just think about the stress that you're under to keep your story straight and to satisfy and, keep all these families and people together. So I'm saying that to say this. I don't care how bad a chick is. There's always going to be somebody that's going to come along that's going to be better. What you need to do is find the best one you can find for yourself and settle down with that one chick. Because let's face it, winter is coming for all of us one day. And when we transition to this next story, we're going to be talking about winter that is transitioning for the Black community and the Black family. It's very, very important. But, before we transition to that, Dimitri, What do you think about what I just said in regards to men who are running around these streets and how much stress it puts on them? Now, you're not even a Kevin Samuels. He did a totally different genre, but the end result was going to be exactly the same.
Well, you forgot to mention that getting stabbed to death by your old lady if she finds out that you out there creeping in them streets could be very hazardous to your health. But no, absolutely. I mean, you know, to carry on several relationships is very stressful because you got an old lady at home, and you got a side piece, and then maybe you got another one. You got, like you said, keep the story straight, the stressful. When you coming back over here? I ain't seen you. I thought you said you was gonna leave your wife. And where you been? You ain't been home, and you know you don't usually get off work. So yeah, it's a lot going on. And so you, to your point, and as Brother Jonel says, the Nation of Islam, settle down to a good choice. Find you a good woman and stay with her through thick or thin. And, you know, same thing for the ladies. Find you a good man, or he should find you, but, you know, treat him right. But I also want to say this before we go to the next story. Fellas, if you got a woman that can cook and that wants to cook you something other than chicken nuggets and French fries,
tacos,
open up your mind. Open up your mind. You know what I'm saying? She want to introduce a vegetable to you, or some juice, some, you know, fresh squeezed juice, or made homemade juice. Well, open up your mind. Don't be like, I want to eat that. Because one thing, as Farrakhan says, Nation of Islam with the MGT, they are, women are, you know, whoever's cooking, they're scientists in the kitchen. They can heal or kill you. So a woman worth her weight don't want to feed you nonsense and garbage all the time. She wants to feed you something that's going to sustain life. Feed you live foods instead of the fried foods and the dyed foods and all that other stuff. That's cute every once in a while. But think about how your grandmama and your granddaddy was eating. Your grandmama wasn't putting no hot pockets on the table for your granddaddy. Or, you know, how many chicken nuggets you want, honey? You know, she was really, you know, making some meals that would help him sustain life, because when he would go to work, he couldn't get energy off of chicken nuggets. Now I'm using chicken nuggets as a symbolism, but he didn't get life off of processed foods. He was able to have that, you know, strong energy to go out to the world the next day and work, because grandmama was putting some green stuff on his plate. She put a little, you know, some potatoes to starch and some meat, and, you know, something reasonable for a dessert or whatever the case was, but it was homemade. It wasn't, you know, a lot of preservatives. But the point that I'm making is, most of the time I would hope, you know, I know my grandmother did, and my mom made their men stuff that was healthy. So open up your mind so you can expand your palate and enjoy other foods.
Yep. Remember, and real quick, remember, we're growing up, mama always put that plate, because dad was working overtime or something, in the refrigerator, and you were not to touch that plate because it had all your dad needed, our dads needed to eat. You know, your mom might be asleep because you don't know what time he's going to come. He's going to come in, get a nice meal, shower, and go back to work and start it all over again. But you never touched that plate or that last piece of chicken, because that was always for dad.
Yep, I remember my mom, because my dad, he would come home late. He owned his own business, and she would have that plate. And, you know, once he sat down at the TV dinner or chair at the table, we'd all be around him as if my mom didn't feed us, right? My mom be like, get away from him. And my dad be like, leave them alone. They can eat if they want. We're like, yeah, we can eat whatever we want. You know, we'd be in my dad's plate. That's how I ended up liking hot sauce at a very young age, because my dad put hot sauce on his food and I liked it. But that's how, because gathering around his plate after he came home, after our mom had fed us. And so very nostalgic there. So we're going to get into this next story here. And I'm going to play a video for you, and I'll let Donovan take the lead from that point. Here we go.
Well, unexpectedly forced out of their homes in South DeKalb. Nearly 200 people will have to find a new place to live. An apartment complex is terminating every tenant's lease with a 60-day notice. And this is all happening at the Forest at Columbia Apartments on Columbia Drive. That's near I-285 and I-20. Channel 2 investigative reporter Ashley Lincoln is live at the DeKalb County Courthouse tonight. And Ashley, you spoke with management, who explained to you why they have to do this. Yeah, Wendy, we were out there at that apartment complex. We saw for ourselves that the property needs an extensive overhaul when you're talking about repairs. We found out initially that owner gave renters 30 days to move out, but management changed that to 60 days. Now today, management telling us that if renters don't move out before that deadline, they'll have no choice but to take them to court. This one behind me. It's wrong. You're just saying on the 31st of August? How can you put us out within 2 months? There's a notice of termination. Residents living at the Forest at Columbia Apartments in South DeKalb say they weren't prepared for it. Everybody out here is not going to find somewhere to live in 2 months. Tuesday night, every single resident living at this complex, including families, was slapped with this notice. Now you can't just put us out of our homes. We have children. But the owner announcing termination of all leases by the end of August. It just did not allow us enough time. Residents say they were blindsided by this move. Many who can't afford to move in such a short amount of time. I was pissed, and it just don't make sense. You know what the chemical action is? I spoke with the property manager who said the termination is due to an extensive construction overhaul needed for the property. Residents say for years they've been dealing with rodents, mold, and insects. The property manager says there is just no way to make necessary repairs with nearly 200 people currently living on site. They do need improvement a lot, from bottom to top, inside and out. But I don't feel like they should make us have to go. Many residents say instead of the company forcing them off of this property, they say instead they wish that the company would renovate vacant buildings like this one and move them in once the construction is complete. They have a lot of them. And move us into those. Along with the need of renovation, management says there's also the issue of crime. Oh my God. Our cameras caught the sound of gunfire after a person opened fire at a nearby unit. This is an image of the bullet hole. Cash-strapped tenants say there has to be another safe option towards improvement without having to move out. We don't have places to go. We don't have money. Chelsea Ashley Lincoln back up live with us. Actually, two things here. First off, is this legal? And secondly, is this property manager giving residents the legal required amount of time to be able to terminate the lease? Yeah, we found out he is, Wendy. In situations, we found that it is illegal for landlords to collect rent on properties that are simply unsafe for people to live in. I found out that this company is actually based in Florida. They bought this property a couple of months ago. They did a walkthrough yesterday, and they just deemed the entire property unsafe. He hopes it'll take about a year to get this entire renovation complete. Well, our thoughts go out with all those folks having to find a new place to live because it is tough in this market. Ashley, thank you.
Well, where you guys have it, this is an alarming trend that is happening all over the country, specifically in Black areas. Now, what you're seeing is a proportionate number of families, especially single mother-led families, being removed or evicted under the pretense of repairs and unsafe living conditions. And this is not just happening in Georgia. It's happened in California. It's happening in Houston. It's happening in New Orleans. It's happening in a lot of major cities. And what is happening, and we were talking about this on the Demetra K Show with our co-hosts, it's happening all over the country, predominantly in Black neighborhoods. Now, transitioning back to Mr. Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels used to say a quote of, "Winter is coming." What did he mean by that when he was telling people winter is coming? We know when winter comes, it's cold, you want to have heat, you want to have everything you need so that you can get past the winter. And my interpretation of what he meant by that was be prepared. Winter is coming. Get what you need, whatever the deal is. It's going to be rough moving forward. We just went through a 2007 housing crisis. We just went through a pandemic. People weren't paying their rent due to the pandemic, whatever. But now the rent is due. And a lot of places, the eviction moratoriums are up. California, mass evictions are happening. And guess proportionately who it is happening to more so than other groups? Black people. And when I say Black people, I mean specifically our community, not people of color, Black people. Now, in that video, if you guys notice, there was an old lady sitting in a car and she says, "We ain't got no money. We can't do this and we can't do that." Now, I'm not sure exactly how old that lady was, but she was a very mature lady. At that lady's age, how do you sit there? And I know everybody has a different condition. This isn't an absolute everybody situation, but this is another example of winter is coming. You got to prepare for this stuff. Now, you saw some of the living conditions in that video. Why is it in our communities we let the properties get to that point? The property management, companies as well are at fault that they gentrify these areas and they make them so violent. There were shots fired even in the video that you just saw. This is the cause of gentrification. But the main victim of gentrification is single Black women, especially those with children. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? You know, and I both know that when this property owner who happens to live in Florida, they don't even live in Georgia, when they get done renovating that property, the very people that they evict will not be able to come back because most likely the rent will go up and it will be unaffordable. The question that I have, Demetra, and a lot of people are going to have is, Georgia is a pretty Black dominated city Atlanta, Georgia, DeKalb County, whatever. And I'm very sure there are Black officials and things like that going. Did they not see all this stuff coming? So what are these people going to do in regards to, getting housing? But this also goes back to the fact that maybe we need to start doing our own thing and building our own communities. Because right now, brothers, our sisters are out there, our wives, our girlfriends, our mothers of our community are out there being evicted, and we are being silent.
Yeah, absolutely. And that situation, unfortunately, is happening all over the United States. As they said, the new owners acquired the building, and when they inspected it, which I don't know why, they wouldn't have expected it when you buy it, because it sounds like, anytime you buy a new property, there has to be some sort of an inspection. So I'm not sure what kind of Acme Mickey Mouse company they went through to do that. But anyway, they found that the place was not livable and unsafe. And of course, crime is going on there. And so there's a lot of things going on. But of course, you heard the women lamenting about, we have nowhere to go with our children, just that and the other. And so, I'd like to go back to a point that Donovan made in regards to it getting that way. When I say it, I mean the apartments getting to the point of where it is rat and roach and mold infested and things like that. How do we allow those things to get there? Well, I think for one, we have to concede that time, things run down just over time, right? And they need to be renovated. It's a normal thing. But to that degree is very troubling. And so I would venture to say that as a landlord, you typically care about your property, right? You don't just set it and forget it, let people rent it and never check up on it or whatever the case is. So that's the problem. Other part is the problem of the people living there. A lot of times they are so poor, they feel like if they do complain that their rent might go up or the landlord might get mad or retaliate or something like that. And so a lot of times tenants in that situation, they just don't say anything. And they just say, well, it's not that bad, right? I know there's a hole in the roof, but it's not really that bad. We'll, see what happens. And so it comes to a point to where the mold and everything is really out of control. And so it actually is a health violation and not up to code. And a lot of cities are supposed to condemn places like that. But there's a lot of places in America, and unfortunately, it houses a lot of us that are in very poor conditions. And so the health departments, a lot of times, do not go through there. A lot of times, too, a lot of the people in those units are on subsidized housing, whether it's Section 8 or some other form of subsidy. And so it is said too that they're supposed to be on top of what's going on with the living conditions, but from what we can see with this situation and a lot of other situations, that's not always the case. They just kind of let the residents do whatever. But I have a problem with what I've seen in this video, and I'm going to try to be as nice as I can, because I haven't always lived in the best places either. When I was 19, I moved out, and I told y'all once before, as I was sitting there watching TV, I was with my daughter's father. I saw, a rat run across the living room. I was like, oh, hell to the no, I can't stay here. So needless to say, we moved. So it wasn't that great. But for one, I want to know, where are the fathers to these children? Not blaming the men. So please don't get mad. I'm not blaming the men. But I saw women. So maybe the men were at work. I don't know. We can assume that. And another thing I want to know too is, well, Donovan, I'll say my other point, but where are the men at to these women and these children, and why? Even if you're not with the mother of the child, okay, let's just say this, even if you're not with the mother of the child, why do your children live in such deplorable situations? Like, let's talk about that really quick.
Yeah, again, like yourself, I was fortunate enough to live a different existence, being a military kid and all that stuff. But yeah, I think about that too. I mean, you're basically condemning your children to a life of poverty because, again, you are a product of your environment in most cases. So if that's all you know, that's all you know. If all you've seen is violence or poverty, not saying you can't come out of it, because a lot of us have come out of a poverty situation, but to the men, You and the mother might not be together, but what excuse is that of you to leave your kids in a condition like that? And then you wonder why a lot of our children go missing, get abused, end up in the system, or, you know, to me, and to get in the system is even a horrible experience. Where are you men at? Where are you men at? Because I happen to notice that these babies are being made somehow. They're being made somehow. These women can't make babies by themselves. But the absentee of the father not taking the responsibility, or at least financially supporting the children to get them out of that environment, is very, very troubling. And again, I'm going to put this on the men. Just because you have a penis does not necessarily make you a whole man. And we talk about this all the time, Demetria, and I argue with people on my podcast about this all the time. There is no such thing as a half man. A real man brings home the whole loaf, not half the loaf. Why? Because you got to pay the cost to be the boss. And that's how it is.
My mother used to say that all the time. I pay the cost to be the boss. And she was right. So I totally get that. But yeah, so again, we're not trying to blame the men, but I just, you know, I don't get it. I don't get it. Right. And I'm trying not to really turn up because I'm kind of, in a chill mood, but I don't get it. I don't get how anyone, and I get it. I've been in a place where I didn't have any money before. So trust me, I'm not coming from a place of judgment. But when I see women outside in bonnets and just milling around the place as if you got nothing else to do in the middle of the day, that's a problem for me. You know, that's a problem for me because that speaks to not being productive or conducive to anything. You're just there. You're hanging out in the middle of the day because it's the times that I wear a bonnet, which I hate to because my head be hot. The moment I wake up in the morning, I take it off. I ain't walking around town with the bonnet on or outside checking the mail and hey girl, hanging out. And so those are the things that I see. Now somebody gonna come for me and say I'm being judgmental. I know the situation. God damn it. If you got time to walk around your neighborhood, kikiing and ha-haing with your homegirls that's also living in a rat, roach infested, mold infested apartment situation, then you got time to go gather with your homegirls. If you don't want to go to work, gather with your homegirls and figure out a way to make a hustle. Because a lot of those women in there, I guarantee you, they may be on subsidy, but they work just enough to get an income tax return. And so with that income tax return, get together with those homegirls you out there with, laughing with, and say, okay, homegirl, or y'all know what you call each other nowadays. I ain't going to say that. When we get our check, let's allocate $2,000 a piece to this business that we talked about, get it off the ground so that we can move up out of here and do better, right? And also when I see that, I just see laziness. Like I see a people, and again, I know that's not everybody, but the majority of people, I see a people who are used to, as I use the analogy, being that little chick, the bird, that the mama's got to drop a worm into your mouth. And it's like, oh, you don't drop the worm in my mouth. What am I going to do? I need somebody to do something for me. But even that bird, after they get a couple of worms, it's like, all right, Ma, I'll see you later. If I bump into you when we flying south or whatever, I'll see you. But they go, right? They go and they be productive. And so I find that problematic that we on the news. And when I say we, I'm speaking collectively, that we're on the news talking about where I was going to go. I don't know what I was going to do. But you walking around the middle of the day, and I don't know, maybe those women have a job. I don't know. Maybe they do. But I know for you, in order you to have a subsidized housing situation, normally you don't have too much of a job, right? And so I want to know, what the Everly F are you doing to help yourself? Because I tell you this, again, I've not lived in the best places, but one thing Demetria K ain't going to do is live nowhere where a rat or a roach is also living too. And I'm not living with mold, because anybody that knows what mold does, it can kill you eventually. So what are you doing, Black woman, in that situation, since you're the most evicted? What are you doing to better your situation?
Absolutely. And I want to bring this up and something that I saw in the video as well. You see all those women milling around, right? The conditions aren't good. You saw some kids that are milling around. Remember when we were little, your uncle or your dad would say, go over there and clean it up and I'll give you $1. And you would just trick the kids to do that. So like you said, I don't know if those women are working or not, but obviously it's the middle of the day, so they're not doing anything. If you live in a community like that, then pick up the trash and, and have a roving thing like our parents used to do. Like I said, what is wrong with some of the old ways? People always say, well, the New Testament is did away with the Old Testament. So you're telling me that the 10 Commandments has no relevance? Leviticus has no relevance, and all these other books. It still has relevance. You might not do it as much, but it still has relevance, right? So I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story. Demetria, and I know, I live in the oldest part of my city. And part of where I live is a town called Edgemont. Very dilapidated 1960 homes. I mean, just old stuff like the city just forgot it. I walk my dog in my neighborhood every day, and I call in dumpsters and stuff when people like dump the furniture in the alley or whatever they're doing. You're just making it look like a bad spot. I call in the graffiti. I do what I do. You want to know why I do that? Because I live there. I live there. The little thing that I do by myself keeps my neighborhood looking fairly decent to live in. I tell people, don't run the feral cats off. You need the feral cats to get rid of the pests. Keep the feral cats, whatever, thing like that. So the question I have is, how do they not know to live in that kind of condition for all of those years and just accept it? Because it is true. A landlord can't collect rent with conditions like that. We have to stop accepting what they give us and dangle it. Oh, girl, we ain't got to pay no rent because this place is, it's got a hole in the roof. I'm not going to pay no rent for years and years and years and years, right? Did you notice in the video that they said that initially they had 30 days to vacate? Then the new owners gave them 60 days and they still weren't ready. How do you feel about that? I mean, how much notice do you need, ladies, to get your act together to do what you got to do? 60 days.
I mean, again, the 60 days is a game changer for some, that if you want to get after it, and for some, it's just, more time to procrastinate. And so I say all of that to say, I mean, a lot of those people probably been in there for years, on a subsidy for years. And for what I understand, welfare, TANF, and all of that, temporary assistance for needy families, I think it is, and all that, that's a temporary. The key word is temporary. It's not a lifestyle. It's a temporary thing, right? And so, like for my say example for me, if I was getting a housing voucher or whatever the case is, I would obviously, be grateful that I had that, but I would continue to improve my situation because, to use the term winter is coming, which kind of came from Game of Thrones, it got more popular with that because that's what they would use it as. But like you said, it means that danger is coming or something you need to be prepared for is coming. And so while you're on these subsidies, what are you doing to improve yourself? Or are you even thinking, damn, it might come a time where this ends. What am I going to do? Because as it says now, with those women in this particular situation, they got until August 31st to move. And so we know rent is high everywhere, right? So I don't know how long those women have been there. You've been there for quite some time. And your rent is, I don't know, $200, $300, $400, whatever it may be. Did you save some money? Did you prepare for that? Because I get it. It is probably going to be hard for a lot of them to find a place to live because rent is high. I don't know what the credit looks like or any of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, they are dealing with an uphill battle. But the other case is, I always say this as far as us as Black people, is that we need to stop being reactive and start being proactive. We are always on the reactive side, like, oh, this happened to me. What am I going to do? What are we going to do now? Instead of saying, okay, now we're getting this housing voucher. We got this amount of time. Now, why don't we go to school or we could do something, go to work, whatever we need to do to save some money and be able to get out of the situation, or if the situation ends, that we're not up the creek without a paddle, right? So we got to start being proactive. But what I see in that video is a lot of women, I didn't see any men, but a lot of women who are reactive now, like, what are we going to do now? And it shouldn't be that way.
Right. And then also in the video, you heard a woman say, we have children. The government doesn't give a damn about your children, especially Black children. We know that as a fact. So, you know, all of these tropes that we use within our community. Oh, I'm a woman. I have children, whatever. Nobody is worried about us. If we don't start taking care of ourselves, because it is evident that this government is making us a permanent underclass. And for the men out there, if your child is living in a situation like that, I'm not saying you should get locked up, but you should get at least 30 lashes for letting your child grow up in a situation that you know that you can most possibly do better to help the situation. Some of these guys, even Demetra, live better than their children wherever they're living and you know, doing that. And I'm not trying to admonish anybody, because there's blame to go around for everybody. But for those women that live in those apartments, and I'm talking to the Black stratosphere, atmosphere, or whatever, when you are moving into these apartments, because you also heard the lady say they need to renovate these so we can move over there. So what, you can tear those up too? That's not going to happen. Winter is here. It is here for Black people, and we are all that we have for each other. So Black men, you need to go secure your children. That's the first thing you need to do. And, you know, and we need to work together. This, I don't need no man, I don't need no woman stuff. It needs to stop, because at the end of the day, we need each other.
And, you know, what I want to know too is, when did we stop being industrious, knowing how to do things, right? Because let's say you live in an apartment and a hole gets in the wall somehow, or something needs to be repaired. What happened to the people that know how to fix things, you know? And I don't want to just put that on the men, because as a woman, you know, it's just my daughter and I, we have to learn how to fix stuff. We can't depend on a man, because we ain't, you know, don't have one really to depend on. So other day I came home and my smoke detector, and that is my pet peeve, y'all.
You too?
Oh, that's my pet peeve. They hear smoke detectors going off. It really is, okay? I came home the other day.
You ain't got no tall ladder, especially if you live in those cathedral ceiling houses.
I didn't, but you know what I did? I said, Lord, it's just me here. I'm going to do some risky things to change this smoke detector. So I'm asking you to protect me. So what I did was I got a chair. It wasn't tall enough. And so then I got our exercise bike. It was tall enough. So I climbed on the chair. Then I climbed on top of the exercise bike, and I reached as far as I could, unturned the thing, stuck a battery in there, put it back together. Voila, jumped down, and it was done. So the point that I'm making is, I mean, I could have called somebody, you know, very tall to come over here and do it, but I'm like, I need to get done now, right? But so there's no excuse not to know. As my brother Walter always says, YouTube is the new university. Anything you want to learn how to do, you can go to YouTube and learn. You want to learn how to patch up a hole in the wall, to tell you how to do it. I know how to do it. It's not hard, very easy. You want to learn how to fix a faucet, not hard. I've changed that one before, you know, so there's a lot of things you could learn how to do. But to say, well, the landlord didn't come and fix it, and so I'm living with rats and roaches. You can figure out how to get rid of that too. It's kind of hard to do if you live in an apartment, because they roaches is gonna run over, whatever the case is, which is why I don't, you know, like living in apartments, because you can't control everybody else's environment. But there's things you could do to at least minimize the impact of rats coming in. Find out where they're coming in at. Go patch up that hole or stop their access point or whatever. So there's things you can do. But just to say, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. Or hell, do you got a grandpapa, a daddy, a Ray, a Pookie that know how to do something to come over? Hey, boo, I got a rat. I need you to help me find out where they're coming in, and let's block it up so I, you know, whatever. So
get a cat.
No, I don't know about that. I own a cat.
No,
but,
not you, but you know, some people that's one way to do it. You get a cat, and the cat.
Get a cat, yeah. But you know, the point that I'm making is, why are you waiting on the landlord, or why are you letting stuff get that dire in your house before you decide to get on the news talking about, look at, and let me tell you this too. This is what I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm trying not to get in trouble. Because you got a hole in your wall, a rat or a roach running around your house. Is that an excuse for your house to be dirty? Is that an excuse for the outside to have garbage and stuff? I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's some things that we could do too to minimize that, like, because you got mold in your house that ain't clean.
I have a better question for you. You got your 15-year-old son that's sitting there playing PlayStation. He can figure out how to beat the game and all this other stuff, but you cannot dictate your son to go out there and find the hole. Like you said, YouTube's the new university. These kids are really smart if you really do it. But what I found is the mothers, and I'm not indicting the mom, I'm just saying the father's not there for whatever reasons. They are not pushing the sons to do what they expect men to do. Because a good example, my mom, when we got to a certain age, we were told, go fix this. I need you to go look at my car. My oil needs changing. Well, mom, we don't have to figure it out. And we would go industriously and ask people how you do this, and they would show us how to do it. So speaking for myself and for my mom, the worst thing that ever happened for my mom was when my brother and I left home. Because now she had to revert back to doing stuff for herself unless we're in the area. But I've seen so many women with sons that are teenagers that are right there in the community. Oh, look, there's graffiti. Go to the management company and say, hey, I'm going to take this and, start a business right there, keeping that little area together. But there's so many.
Some of their sons is probably doing the graffiti.
Right, exactly. But there's so many sons that are sitting on the couch and they're not mandated to be men by their mothers.
Yeah, and that's a problem, and I'll concede that point because, like I said, the father's not there. He should be, but he's not. And as Dr. Ava Muhammad said in a book that I'm going to jack up the title, but she said it, that moms, we can't keep saying, well, where is the daddy? Where is the daddy? Because let's say concede the fact that daddy is not there. But why do you keep using that as an excuse not to properly raise your kids, right? And so to your point, you got things going on in your house that's destitute. Why aren't you teaching your son or having him figure out how to do it? It's because we, and I'm saying collectively, we are too busy with our sons being cute and having swag and having the latest, this, that, and I'll tell you this right now. Y'all can get mad at me. You throw rocks at me, tomatoes whenever you see me, whatever. But if you live in the neighborhood and you got rats and roaches and mold and holes and all kind of things going on in your house, and your children having iPhones and Jordans and all of that other stuff, do me a favor, kick your own ass. As far as you can, reach back and kick yourself in the ass as hard as you can, because what you're not going to do is sit up on the Eyewitness News talking about, oh, I don't know what we're going to do. We don't got a place to go. And then your kids is running around sharp as a tack and they going to hang up them Jordans in the closet that got mold in it. That's problematic. Our priorities are jacked up. And so if that is you, take a self-assessment and say, what can I do differently? Am I living in a place that's not desirable, but everybody got on the wigs and the weaves and the nails and the purses and the, this, that, and the other, and we done had a crab leg. I know they ain't cheap. But we living in this situation and we expecting somebody else to do for us. If that is you, like I said, once you kick yourself in the ass with the left foot, turn around and do it with the right foot and then repeat until you rearrange your understanding of what it is you're supposed to be doing. I hope that helps.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, again, you guys, if you do us a favor, hit that Cash App. Know that if you want to donate to the show, we've got multiple streams of where you can donate, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, all of that good stuff. Also, what's really more important is hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Dimitri, as we get out of here, anything else you want to add to this little scenario in regards to health? Because I know you are a working out, healthy type person. And I think that's the most important topic that we have to talk about today is the health aspect of moving forward.
I would say I'm not as healthy as I want to be, but I am fairly healthy. 51 years old is not old. It's young, in regards to where we are now, because it said that a baby born today could live to be 120 years old easily with the technology and things that we have. But unfortunately, we're going backwards. People are dying earlier, especially in our community, and it's unnecessary. But I would say just in general, like I tell y'all what I do every morning. I get up, I drink some water, and then I'll go work out. And, I think about what I'm going to eat throughout the day, and I try my best to eat healthy. I don't always eat healthy, but I eat better. I eat more healthy than I eat unhealthy. And so I think that's the goal. And one thing I try not to do is let people get on my goddamn nerves and stress me out for whatever reason. Stress is a big factor. You got a lot going on in your life. take an assessment of your life and say, okay, what can I eliminate? What's really getting on my nerves and what's really making me triggering me to where I feel stressed? And if you can eliminate those things, you'll be better off. So it's food, water, diet, and stress. Eat healthy, drink lots of water, exercise at least 30 minutes a day, and be about mental and emotional wellness. Figure out how to do that. Breathe several times a day. Take a minute out, just take some deep breaths, and then do it again when you need to. But take some time out to really just think that I've only got one life. I'm not, as Donovan say, I'm not going to burn the candles at both ends. And then when it comes to that point, like, damn, I am extremely unhealthy because I didn't stop to just take an assessment of what do I need to do to be here a little bit longer. And so, as I said, if a baby could live 100 to be 120, even at the age of 51, I can at least live to be 100, right? If I continue to, do things right. And so that's all I got to say. It's not that hard, but the hardest part that we have to really overcome is in our mind. Stop making excuses. Stop procrastinating and say, you know what? I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm not going to start the first of the year, New Year's resolution. I'm going to start tomorrow. Even if it's don't put salt on my food or drink one more cup of water and say no to soda or one can of soda, whatever it is. Just start small, but just start doing something. Don't just not do anything, hoping for a fairy god, health fairy, to come down and say, ding, now you're better. Because that's not how it works. You are in control of you, and only you can make sure that you're here for as long as possible. And that's by doing the things that I just said. So anyway, y'all, Donovan, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
Yep. Everybody, please also go get checked out at the doctor and the dentist annually. At least do that. That way you have an assessment of where you're at and where you need to go. Because if you don't know that you're sick, by the time you find out, it's going to be too late.
And we've heard plenty of stories about that. So anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much for being here. We love and appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow for, what is it?
Wealth Wednesdays with Walter.
I was thinking of wellness because we're talking about Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. He likes to talk about wellness as well because you guys know he is battling cancer himself. And so we may continue on with the discussion of wellness. Definitely something about money. So anyway, you guys be cool out there because I know it is hot all over this place. We'll see y'all later. Peace.